Hey everyone, CPO here, and in this video, I'm going to put this back into overclocked. So previously on O3D Jeeps, I did an install video of a steering upgrade. It involved TMR Customs, tie rod, draglink, and Reed Racing knuckles. And that combination, along with my Pro Rock 44 front end, meant I had to remove my steering stabilizer to make everything fit. So let me catch you up to speed on that. And that's the problem statement I'm trying to solve today.
Well, I did have to do a little bit of problem solving just now, but such is life. So it's actually a combination of adding the Reed knuckles and this super beefy 2.5 ton tie rod from TMR Customs. That the problem is my steering stabilizer bracket was actually getting in the way. So I was limited. And yeah, basically I'm gonna have to figure out plan B. And I know that there's some options, but in order for me to get on the road tomorrow to go to work, I just dropped this tie rod. You can see where I hammered the side of the knuckle, same way I removed for the start of this install. Took that down and then just used the hammer, bent that up a little bit to clear. And you know, worst case, I can always bend it back. I have a feeling though there's a relocation in my future.
And I have the magic solution right here in this box. All right, everyone, this is the steering stabilizer relocation kit from OffRoadOnly. And what it does is it relocates your steering stabilizer to the driver's side frame with this bracket that mounts right underneath the swaybar frame bushing mount. And then the steering stabilizer then connects to your drag link. Now it does have this spacer for the other side of your sway bar so that everything is balanced and offset equally on driver and passenger side. It also comes with the hardware to mount your steering stabilizer to the bracketry and this bracket to connect your stabilizer to your drag link. But because I'm running such a massively sized drag link, it's 1 3/4 inches outer diameter, this bracket from ORO won't fit. It's designed to fit the more factory size. So I need this, which I already happen to have from TMR Customs, which will allow me to make that connection. All right, so I kind of lied. I'm not putting this stabilizer back into overclocked. When I looked at it, the bushing is just chewed up on the what's going to be the frame side. So yeah, the other side's not so bad, but I'm just not happy with this bushing. So quick check of the time, and it looks like I've got enough time to get over to 4-wheel parts, and I'll just get another one. All right, so installation of the steering stabilizer with these brackets is very simple. Basically what we're going to do is undo the bolts on the sway bar, and you can see with all the links connected, it'll just hang there fine. Slip the bracket in between the frame and the sway bar bushing mount. I'm using blue thread locker here. This is just a gel, and putting the bolts back in, but I am going to leave everything loose. I'm not going to tighten it down all the way. And as you'll see later, I'll actually loosen it up even more for the stabilizer install. Now I'm going to the passenger side, doing the same thing, removing those 2 bolts holding the sway bar, and I'm slipping in this little spacer in there. This side can be tightened up all the way. There really is no way to do this wrong. All the job of the spacer is is to make sure that the sway bar is lowered equally on both sides to account for that extra bracket drop. Again, blue thread lock on these, tighten it down. You can see here I also have a ground wire that I'm using for that, that bolt. So there's what it looks like with the bracket hanging there. Again, it's loose, and I've done a test fit here, but I'll dig into that with you a little bit more here in a second. And then this side is tight, torqued down. These are torqued down, I think they're like 45 foot-pounds or something like that. Now, normally you would install your steering stabilizer on the tie rod, but in this case, it's going up high on the drag link. Now, the way I like to do this is go ahead and extend the steering stabilizer until it's fullest, and then I measure that, and then figure out where the midpoint of that is, and I want to install it where the midpoint is in the middle of my travel. So I'm just using a piece of black electrical tape to mark that, and then I'm going to compress it back down to where I know that essentially it's in the middle of its travel. Now, there are a lot of different ways to do this. This is just the way I like to do it. All right, once I have that done, I need to make sure that my tires are centered, because that's important if I'm going to use the middle. And I'm going to put this in place. And basically what I'm doing is just sort of test fitting, looking where I want the bracketry to go, where I want things to mount. Now, on this particular case, I want the bolt to come in from the back of the Jeep forward, and I can't really do that because the drag link ball is right there in the way. So I'm going to loosen this up again so that I can slip that bolt in. Now, I am using a anti-seize. This is a marine grade non-metallic anti-seize. It's ugly brown. I don't know why, but it is what it is. Anyway, once I have that on there, I'm going to go ahead and slip that bolt through and then get that nut started. Now, these nuts that come with the kit are crush nuts, so they're basically locking nuts, so you don't have to worry about using thread lock or anything like that on there. And again, I'm leaving this bracket pretty loose so that I can adjust this and fine-tune it. All right, so now I'm just going to tighten down this, not all the way to crush the bushing, but just to get it fairly snug. And I can go ahead and start mounting the adapter onto the drag link. Again, more blue thread lock on all of these little bolts that are holding this thing together. And I'm just going to do it tight enough to where it'll sort of stay, but it's still movable because I need to be able to move it around. Again, I've got the shock set at the center of its travel, so I want to adjust this bracket to line up with the shock and not the other way around. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get everything adjusted here where I think it's going to work, but I need to get this stabilizer attached to the bracket first because I'm going to end up rotating that up out of the way. So I'm going to go ahead and get that installed, and then I'm going to go ahead and torque that down and get that set. And then I'm going to rotate this bracket where I want it for the final installation. I'm paying attention to what all could get in the way, whether it be the radiator or the cross members or that sway bar actuator. All that stuff is sort of taken into consideration when I develop my location. Once I get it all tightened down, I'm going to go through and check lock to make sure, number one, that I'm not hitting anything on the Jeep, and then I'm trying to anticipate and visualize both in a compressed and droop situation how that flex might impact things. And I'm also trying to make sure that the steering stabilizer isn't limiting my steering. I want to go all the way to the stops on the knuckles. I don't want my steering stabilizer to be what limits me in my turning radius. So everything looks good, and that is it, guys. So this was a solution for me as an alternative way to mount the steering stabilizer, but a lot of people would like this option just to get that stabilizer up out of the way. I know when it's hanging off the tie rod, it's very susceptible to damage. And as you can see here, this gets it nice and clean and out of the way so that, yeah, you don't have any problems. Anyway, guys, that's it. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.